At what point do you get out of and away from the big cities and let them implode, because that's going to happen? At what point is that going to happen? Are you going to wait till you have 100 people out in front of your house? Because you can still possibly get away, but there will be all kinds of collateral damage, and you may or may not come up on a blotter to be arrested immediately. All right, everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode of Live from the Lair. And I don't have my hat on today because I left it in the car, and fuck you, I'm not going to go get it. All right, now if you've been following these episodes, I have occasionally touched on craziness. I talked about the stunning and brave erection that took place, and I am probably going to continue talking about said things every now and again. Hopefully, if I have enough material, I will talk about it every single time. Though I will talk about red pill MGTOW subjects as they come about. All right, so let's get into it, shall we? All right, as we know, we have a new president who was fairly unduly elected on that great erection night and so forth. Now, historically speaking, when this government and this country was stood up in the 1700s, they knew that every single government that has ever existed has a 100% chance of going off the rails. So they tried to limit that by having us a bunch of checks and balances built into our government to keep that from happening. Okay, from what we saw on Stunning and Brave Erection Night, it's just an insane amount of craziness that unfolded. There are mountains of evidence. And the judges across this country refused to do anything about it. So what we had take place was very close, if not identical, to what has happened in several past banana republics. And we all know how those turned out. I actually write books, and my second one came out roughly 3 months ago. Basically, the series is called The Jericho Files, and it's about a psychic who hunts and stalks serial killers. There are some very explicit kill-em-up death scenes in there, and my friends called it gore porn, but what do they know? And so far, it's got 4 to 5 stars on Amazon. You should probably check it out, and it is print on demand. But if you're one of those guys that can't read like me, or you're just too lazy to read, we're going to have audiobooks coming out soon. So in the meantime, click on the links in the description and go enjoy your own gore ornpay. Power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. You have a stunning and brave, duly elected president who is half out of his mind. You have a vice president who has a history of doing very, very bad shit when it comes to her lane, which was criminal justice and prosecuting people. And she got to that level by basically getting her tonsils buttered and her heels up. Just saying. So if you think that this administration and the deep state who now enjoys power, who actually has had enjoyed power for 30 years, now they have absolute power because they can do whatever the fuck they want, because all 3 branches of the government are no longer for the people and by the people. They are there to, or put their boot on the neck of the people. That's what I'm going for. So what do you think is going to happen now that big government has big tech arm in arm now? Okay, so I'm going to go through what lies ahead and what's next. All right, number 1, Before my primary Facebook account was deleted, I was a member of virtually every militia group in the United States, to include Puerto Rico and Alaska. Now, Facebook went in there and got rid of a bunch of those guys, and then I got deleted. And then I basically did the same thing on MeWe and on Parler. They shut Parler down. We'll see if it comes back. And if you go to MeWe and you search for the word militia, there's absolutely, there are no results found. So you have to basically spell out militia until you get to the point where it cuts off. You can't find it, and you can still find them on there. So I do still post to those pages as long as they still stay around. All right, now I'm anticipating that big tech is going to wipe out the right for a little while. They're going to come back and they're going to reorganize, in the future. But I don't know when that'll be. All right, so if you are one of those big groups that I was talking to, you need to probably listen close. Now, if you have a big group, it would probably be in your best interest to break it up into a bunch of small groups, thus decentralize. So if you have 300 people in your group, you might want to break it down to 10, 30 people groups, or 30, 10 people groups, or 65 people groups, and limit your face-to-face between, designated representatives of said groups. And then I will go over that in the future when I talk about some tradecraft, and we're going to talk about it on this board as well. All right, number 2. Now, doesn't it make sense if you're going to spread out your personnel, you spread out the supplies? You do not want to have everything in one area where it can basically go up in smoke. Food, water, what have you. All right? You're going to have to spread that out, and I will walk you through how to do that using tradecraft in the future. Number 3, shop for backing. Now, the left, they were very successful because they had a lot of backing from a lot of big corporations out there. They've been organizing since Occupy Wall Street came about. And they saw those individuals and they're like, hey, you know what? We really could use some useful idiots in the future. So let's give them money, teach them tradecraft, have them build up their numbers, and then we'll, when the time is right, we'll release them into the general population to wreak havoc and basically, be a diversion and seed fear. I can almost guarantee you the 72 to 82 million people who voted for President Trump are the Populist Party. They are basically probably chomping at the bit to back somebody moving forward to countermand this craziness that, it's not even on the horizon, it is here. That's basically amongst us now. I don't know how that's done. There's, people with 30-pound brains probably can dream that up. I'm just a knuckle punch and grunt with big meat pumps, and it is what it is. All right, number 4, educate yourself on tradecraft because it works. Tradecraft has been used in various forms since probably the Roman times, moving forward till today. All right, why has it been so effective? Yeah, because it works. If it works for them, it'll work for you. You need to learn it. Now, there's classes on YouTube. There is all kinds of publications out there you can get your hands on. You can buy hard copy PDF. Okay, there's several of the manuals from the U.S. War College floating around out there. You can find them in PDF format. I would suggest an older one because they're written not to college graduates, but to high school and slightly above graduates. And it's not rocket science. I mean, come on. You have Antifa and BLM knocking that shit out. Those guys have probably an average IQ of anywhere from 85 to 95. Okay, it's not rocket science. If they can successfully knock it out, so can we. Just saying. All right. Number 5, if you can financially, take the hit, if you can move your job, if you move your family, if you can do whatever you have to do, move to a red state. All right. I myself can't do that right now. I'm stuck up here in Michigan. I got responsibilities up here I have to take care of, but I do have a plan in place with a drop dead, criteria that will have me upend and get the fuck out of here. Now, I hope that doesn't happen. Wishful thinking. I hope we all sing Kumbaya and it goes back to checks and balances and people don't get drunk on power. But seeing what the new president has done in his first week and a half in office, that's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. All right, number 6. There's 4 parts to number 6. Number 1, get in shape. Get in shape. Push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile run. Okay, after 6 p.m., I'm sure you live within running distance of a school. There won't be anybody there. Use the playground. Those are obstacles that are there for a reason. And that's where you learn how to jump walls and climb ropes and do all the other horse shit that you might have to do, if it gets lively up in here. Because push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile run, it's good, but it's not a be-all, end-all. Ideally, do the obstacle course, push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile run, get yourself a 45-pound rucksack, and work on getting 12 miles underfoot in 3 hours or less. 4 hours is okay too, but 3 hours is the basic Army standard. I could probably get down to that, but it would take me about 60 days and there would be a whole ass load of pain. I'm going to try to get there. We'll see. Number 2, get supplies. If you don't have supplies now, they are going to get scarcer and scarcer and thus more expensive. Get them now. All right. When there's a will, there's a way. Just saying. Put together a plan. At what point do you leave and go to a red state? At what point do you get out of and away from the big cities and let them implode, because that's going to happen? At what point is that going to happen? Are you going to wait till you have 100 people out in front of your house? Because you can still possibly get away, but there will be all kinds of collateral damage, and you may or may not come up on a blotter to be arrested immediately. Just saying. Get a group. If you don't have a group, make a group. All right? 3 guys is better than 1 guy. 30 guys broken down into 10-man groups is even better. Just saying. All right, moving over to the board here. All right, you got to bear with me. This is the 3rd time I've done this, so hopefully I worked it out, because I had all kinds of technical difficulties. God damn it. All right, number 7. All right, like I said before, you got big tech is now going to be hand in hand with big government and the deep state. All right. Now, if you think they were dangerous when it came to the re-election of President Trump, they're going to be 3 times as dangerous now that they're actually working lockstep with the government and they have the alphabet agencies, giving them the basically go ahead to do whatever the fuck they want. Because let's face it, they've been doing whatever the fuck they want since 9/11. The whole Patriot Act thing, there you go. All right, now with the D-Google, get yourself a Linux phone. They're starting to come out now. Now, yes, they are older Android phones. So what? All right. What most people don't know, a majority of Google's phones and apps are open source. So that means you can find other apps that are just as good or slightly below what Google has to offer. And you basically are directly cutting out the big tech companies out of your life. You're not indirectly cutting them out of your life because you still have the mobile carriers and so forth. All right, but it can be done. You can find these products. You can look for them on YouTube. They're coming out, and I can almost guarantee you there are companies out there like, hey, they're going to have like 82 million people wanting these phones. Fuck it, we're doing it. All right, that's going to happen. All right. Along with this, learn Linux. Learn Linux. Get yourself a PC. Load Linux onto it. Do your research. Figure out how it works. You can even, get the Linux, have a GUI interface, which is a graphic interface, is what, Windows does. And there are open source apps that are just as good, if not better, than a lot of the stuff Microsoft has to offer. All right, and Apple. Okay, now, the products that Apple uses and their operating system is closed loop, just like Microsoft Office and Microsoft Windows is closed loop. So I can almost guarantee you those big companies are turning into a brain trust, and they're filling all the loopholes with all kinds of ways they could track you. Best way to do that is get rid of Microsoft, get rid of Apple, and get rid of Google. All right. I myself am going to have to get up to speed on that, but it is what it is. All right. Number 10. Get yourself up to speed on using radios. AM, FM, UHF, CBs, what have you. All right, now, radios have been used since, slightly after they were invented, to do all kinds of nefarious behaviors. Okay? And they are probably just as good now. Number 1, especially if you use tradecraft, and I'll go through some of those classes. All right, learn antenna theory. Now, if you know how to use an AM radio and you know antenna theory, you can set up your antennas to shoot along an azimuth, and it's very hard to RDF those transmissions because they go along the azimuth, number 1. Number 2, if you can talk to the other side of the planet if you're willing to bounce them off the ionosphere, and that may or may not be able to be picked up by a satellite if they're listening for you. I don't know for sure, but antenna theory and radio use is going to be a big key in any operations or nefarious activities moving forward. All right, and it's not that expensive. Get yourself a bunch of old radio wire. You can get it on eBay. It's dirt cheap. And most of these radios are relatively inexpensive as well, unless you're setting up a base station for, the 3 up here, and then that gets a little pricey, but it's right around $1,200. If you don't have that kind of money, a lot of these other radios, you can get something together for like $250 or below. All right, number 12, find a veteran who's willing to honor their oath. I'm betting most of them are probably doing cheetah flips now, biting at the chance to honor their oaths. I took 8 of them. I know I am. Now, if you find a vet, great, but look for these veterans. 11 Bravos, infantry guys, great to have. 0311, Marine infantry, great to have. Scouts, good to have. Armor, good to have. Now, if you can, get your hands on an Airborne Ranger or Green Beret. All right, there aren't a lot of guys walking around like me who have 3 wars under their belt, 2 combat tours in 2 different wars, was almost killed in 2, who are infantry, paratrooper, Airborne Ranger, and Green Beret. Okay, and I have all of the crazy qualifications and bells and whistles that go along with all that. There aren't a lot of guys like me out there, all right? Very few. Okay, there are even few are willing to put their face on camera and talk about shit like this, because this is the reality on the ground. I'm just saying. All right, 13, get on the goddamn dark web. I'm gonna say it one more time. Get on goddamn dark web. Get yourself a Tor browser. Okay, once you get yourself a Tor browser, you could do a search for dark web links to get you in the door, and then you can do your research and find out what's going on. Now, on the dark web, they have been selling counterfeit money. They've been selling passports. They've been selling fake IDs for virtually every country out there, and passports for, oh, that's right, for every country out there. Okay, You can buy a sex slave. I don't recommend that. There's all kinds of crazy, illegal porn. And they sell guns and all the other crazy stuff. And they've been doing it for years. And you want to know why? Because it works. Now, most people don't know this about VPN and a lot of these, secure messaging apps. All right. If you're a U.S. citizen and you come up with a crazy new, encryption technology, by law, you have to share it with the federal government or you will go to jail. All right? Now, suffice it to say, if that's in place, I bet you 10 to 1 that these messaging apps, they have to share their super secret methods and keys with the big alphabet agency government so they can look and read what's going on. Beware VPN. Beware of all the super secret messaging, apps out there and so forth. All right, just beware. Tor browser does this. You download it on your computer. You check for updates. You turn it on. There may or may not be certain settings or programs running in the background of your parent operating system that you will have to deactivate. And a lot of the newer Apple stuff doesn't allow you to do that. And I think the next update of Windows is probably going to shut that down as well. Thus, go to Linux. Just saying. All right. Now, if you can disable that stuff, this is how Tor browser works. You go through the United States to whatever, servers, bounce you around. Then you get to the Tor one, bounces you out of country to another country. From that country to a second country, from that second country to a third country, and then to the United States. And it strips away your MAC address and your IP address. Thus it works. Get up to speed on that. All right, now, I am still going to cover some craziness as it ensues. I'm going to try to go over tradecraft, break it down to the grunt level so you guys can figure it out. And I am going to continue to cover Red Pill and MGTOW subjects because there is no shortage of stupid feminists and women out there. And that's it.